maybe I'll start with that. Yeah. And that's maybe something that all viewers can do themselves. You can just look in the mirror and you can stick out your tongue. Try to do that and watch your tongue. And if you've been exposed to EMF, which 99.9% of all viewers will have during the day, they will see trembling of the tongue. They can't really hold the tongue still anymore. And this is because of the high activation of the central nervous system, because it's a cranial nerve that supplies actually the tongue. So the more exposure to EMF you've had during the day, the more this tongue will be almost uncontrollable. Yeah. If we're now at a place like yours, you stick out the tongue, look in the mirror, you can actually still see the tongue in a resting state. If you're in a city or if children come from school, sometimes their tongue is going like this. Yeah. So that's the one thing I show people. If you want to assess quantitatively, I never did a study about it, but I hope one day we don't only have to rely on studies, but also on clinical experience to look into certain topics, because otherwise it will take years and years. You know, the NTP study took 19 years to be finally over. We can't wait. So that's why I'm putting this out here at the moment. This is a personal experience, and it's like a personal observational study. And the second thing is that there is a scientist in Germany, Professor von Klitzing. He's in Berlin, and he does experiments with putting people in a Faraday cage, so where no EMF interference from the inside or the outside can occur, and then activates a Wi-Fi router. And then he looks at specific criteria. He looks at an EEG, brain function, at an EMG, muscle tone. He looks at an ECG, the heart, and he looks also at the circulation. And he found, not in all, and in some more in the heart, and with others more in the brain, with others more in the muscle tone, he found significant changes, and sometimes even asystolic periods when he turned on the Wi-Fi router in the back of a few seconds. So the heart stopped beating for a few seconds. Yeah. So he found all of this. He tried to publish it, and he has been a renowned scientist who published in many, many very, very prestigious journals, but nobody wanted to publish his work. So he also coined the term a Wi-Fi memory effect. And this is the one thing that I find in practice every day. So I put people on the couch, supine, and I'll ask them to have their knees in 90 degrees on the table, if you can imagine. And then I rotate the hip. And in modern times, because of the increased muscle tone that people are experiencing, the average hip doesn't really rotate much more than 30 degrees, whilst it should be 80 to 90 degrees. So this, I'm treating professional athletes, soccer players, and from other specialties in Germany. I see this even in really, really super fit athletes, that they literally are stiff. Yeah. So why am I correlating this to EMF, and how can I convince people that actually they can correlate themselves that with it? I use a tuning fork. Yeah. If I can start maybe with that. So that's a tuning fork. We tested a lot of them. That's 136.1 hertz. So the longer the deeper the frequency, the more effect it will have to break the resonance with the Wi-Fi router, the mobile phone that you might have used a few hours beforehand. Because the Wi-Fi memory effect indicates that even if you've only been exposed to about 30 minutes with a Wi-Fi router, in your cells might still vibrate in the 10 hertz frequency of the Wi-Fi router for up to 2 days. He just put an oscilloscope, just saw the resonance with it. And this is one thing why I'm very adamant that nobody nowadays can escape the effects. I had a conversation today with somebody who lives during the night in a cage, has built a huge cage under his house and sleeps very, very well there, which I can understand. But the thing is, he still has to disconnect from the frequencies that he encountered during the day. So what we do, we just get them. Yeah. I can put, maybe you can hear the frequency. So we put the frequency on the osseous structures, on the bones of the skull, on the chest bone. We put them on the knees and on the ankles. Anybody can do that. And it's like shaking your system out of the resonance with the Wi-Fi or the mobile phone. We have children that fall asleep here in the practice because we have no mobile phones or no Wi-Fi. We have nothing, and we ask all patients to turn off their mobile devices if they enter the practice. So people lie down there, and another symptoms that people experience nowadays are these muscle twitches. Yes, they're almost like fasciculations, what they call them in medical terms, little switches that you see all over their body. And sometimes you have these people that have it with their eyes, then they get investigated for a tic. In every school class nowadays, I have at least 5 school kids that have these tics, sometimes with their head or sometimes just with their eyes. And if you do the tuning fork and you ask them a few measures that you so beautifully sum up what people can do in order to reduce their radiation at home. So I guess every viewer that watches this here knows about your activities. Yeah. If you implement all of this, yeah, and you are not unfortunate that somebody put a 5G tower just in front of your house or anything like it, then you're able to reduce all of these signs. So your tongue just remains very intact and doesn't fasciculate and doesn't tremble all the time. You get very relaxed because your autonomic nervous system will react to that as well. It will really distress you. And the other thing is you can see it in the muscle tone. If you do that with a tuning fork, the children then will have all of a sudden 90-degree rotation of their hips again. So that's one thing that helps a little bit to convey the message that, yeah, there is an influence from an invisible, odorless, yet tasteless substance around them that's poisoning their body.